Hello, everyone. How is everyone? Happy new moon. Solstice is right around the corner. How are we doing? I'm just getting stuff started here. So tell us hello and where you're joining from. Hello, everyone. How are you? Get my YouTube going here. Hi, Karen. Are you still in Florida? Have you did your move yet? I got your email. That was pretty amazing. Hello, Sarah. How are you? How's everybody? Hello, Como Weaver Society. You're moving at the end of the month? Oh my gosh. I know so many people moving this month. It's a powerful month. There is some really exciting energy with this solstice coming up. Are you guys feeling that? So weird. Okay, let me just get here on YouTube. Sarah, how are you? Oh, sorry. There we go. So how is everybody? How was this new moon for you? And of course, Peaky's here. Haven't seen you in months. Oh, I've been here. I'm here every Monday. Sorry, Mr. Paul. I'm here every Monday at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And here's Peaky. Peaky's here every month too. Well, I'm glad you caught us, May. But yeah, in the future, if you want to see what we've been up to, we're on YouTube. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see all the past lives that we have done on Monday. Yeah, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So we're just kind of getting started. Hello, YouTube. Hello, everybody. So how are we? Anybody have any news to share? We're in this very powerful doorway, and I wanted to talk about the new moon and solstice and just get, just start talking. Because I feel like this energy is so different. We just walked into a different energy, and I don't know. Is anybody else feeling that? I just wrote my newsletter, and if you look on my bio, you can read it if you're not on my newsletter list. And what I talked about was like, this is very life-changing energy. This is the next half of a very powerful year. And this is the year of the arrow. And the arrow is aligning us to where we are going in our life. And we're exiting out of a 52-year cycle, and we're entering into a new 52-year cycle. So this is like a life-changing moment. Next year, we will be in a whole totally different cycle. And this is going to be life-changing, life-altering. And it starts now. And you're saying you just quit your job, your daughter is getting married. Exactly. Life-changing, right? And hopefully, she's marrying the partner for the rest of her life, right? That's the goal. And so at least the next 52 years. And that's why it's so powerful. And so I wanted to jump on today and just give some time for that and see what's going on with everybody. Because it's a very powerful energy. And like Lola's saying, it doesn't feel good. It's the end of one cycle so that another cycle can begin. And so whatever crud, whatever needs to be left in this old cycle is going to start cycling out so that by next year, May of 2024, you're in the new cycle. And what we call the new fire. And this new fire and this new cycle is really about feminine power. Sylvia says, you're in a new relationship with the Sagittarius, the arrow. Ain't that something? Well, right on, Sylvia. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. You've been in a big shift, I know, for a long time. I'm really happy to hear that. You're in a new relationship. Hi, April. How are you? I know. So some of us are like super excited about this new cycle. Some of us are like, "Ooh, it's all bringing up all kinds of," it's like a roller coaster. You know how you're about to go down that, and then you'll get that huge rush. But before the rush, it's like, all those nerves. Scary but great. He is her soulmate. Aw, I love that. I love that. It's a really great time to get married because this year is really about your soul destiny, your life purpose. Like, why did you come here? And that's what I was talking about in my newsletter this week, was about, really taking the time, this new moon and this solstice, to see what is the direction my arrow is going. Where am I headed in my life? What do I want going forward? What is the whole purpose of me being here? And that's the number one question people ask in readings is, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And this is the year where we really dive into that. We really find out, we really go deeper into the essence of who we are and why we're here. This is the arrow year. It's like, where's your mark? Where's your target? Where are you going? A time frame in mind. Yeah. That's the perfect thing about the calendar. The calendar tells us exactly where we are in the cosmos. Like, where are we? It doesn't feel good at first because the unknown. Yeah. So scary, but I have the peace about it all. And I was talking about that in my newsletter too. Like, people are going to be quitting jobs, getting married, getting divorced, having babies leave the nest, all the big life changes, especially if you're watching this, you're going to start to see, oh, okay. Yeah, that's starting to make sense. Things are turning on. Things are having to let go to make space for the new, and all the new that's going to be coming in is all about, what it is you're supposed to be doing for this next cycle and what is and isn't coming with you in this new cycle. So a lot of people move right now. I know Karen's moving, but I know a lot of other people are moving. They're moving. Oh yeah, Green Tara, she's behind me. A lot of people are moving because it's gearing us up for where we need to be for this next cycle. And see, everybody is put where they need to be for reasons beyond the conscious mind. It's a spiritual thing. There's a reason why people who are very spiritual and in their practice and very positive, they're placed in certain places in the world. And they're all over the world because those are like little lighthouses. And wherever you're ending up is the lighthouse that you need to be at. Realizing it's time to focus on me and what I want, making plans to be that traveler. That's awesome. A lot of mobility, a lot of traveling. That's a really good point too. We talked about that a couple lives ago, where a lot of people have to, be more mobile during this time. So RV living, car living, like mobile style living, just traveling more. And that's when your intuition, when your heart speaks and you're meant to go somewhere, everything opens up. Everything will open up for you to go to that place, to do that thing, to accomplish whatever it is that you need to accomplish. And in this time, it's really powerful. It's a really potent time right now. From, we started the new moon yesterday to the 23rd, I would say, but especially the 21st. That 21st doorway is when solstice really opens. And even they're saying like the Schumann resonance is really off the charts and it's really high right now because this new moon and this solstice is anchoring in a lot of light, a lot of energy, a lot of power. And so usually during these kind of doorways, you'll notice two things. One is you might be like totally zapped out, tired. You might just like, I need to rest more. The second thing is you might be completely like wired, like, I can't sleep, I can't, and then all these ideas are coming in, all this inspiration is coming in, all this energy is coming in. because it's leading us to the next half of 2023. And this next half is really about action. It's about what have you been really working on this first half that now you're ready to go, do, be, become, And like I said, this energy is really potent because we're in the end of a fire. We're in the end years of a huge shift in humanity. You say so much to learn and experience here in the US. Yeah, there's so many beautiful things to see. I'm not sure what you mean by have you seen it? Like tired when doing what I hate, wired when doing what I love. Yeah, that's a good way to put it too. It's like when you're forcing something, you have a lot of resistant energy. But when you're in your flow and you're loving it, you have all this energy flowing and you just want to do it and you're passionate. But like we talked about last week about, how to go for your visions, go for your, what it is you want to do. You have to first get really clear with it. And then once you get really clear with it and you have the passion behind it and you're inspired by it, the next thing is you have to have patience because things don't just happen overnight. Hello, Lindsay. Hello, come to Bed Eyes. Hello, YouTube. So the first thing you have to have is the vision, the clarity, the inspiration, the passion. I'm sure you have a lot of excitement too because you just quit a job that I'm sure you really didn't like a whole lot. And now you've cleared all that space and there's that energy of like, okay, now I got to get clear. I got to, get motivated. I got to get passionate. And then the next step is to set it out. So like, think about this, year. We're at the halfway mark in the Gregorian calendar. In the Tonopoali, we still have until March. But right now we have like a half a year. And you think about what have you been working on that you're ready to grow and expand? What is it that you really want to focus on this next half of the year? And it could be like mental health, emotional well-being, spiritual growth, physical goals. It could be your work, your career, your business. When you have all those things in alignment is what is true success. I know here in the West, it's a real focus on material success, like the house, the car, the this, the that. But in true success, it's about like health. Health is your number one priority. Like in our ancient teachings, it always talks about health, because without health, you can't have any of those other things going for you. Another thing is like mental well-being, your mental sharpness. You always want to be sharpening that tekpal, that, your mind. And they would compare the mind to a sword, like to a blade. I guess like an arrow, have you seen those arrowheads? That would be like that, and it's especially the obsidian ones. And that's what they would consider your mind. You want to get your mind sharp, keep sharpening, keep learning, keep growing, keep understanding things, keep reading books, keep, expanding your mind and keeping it sharp. And that way you can avoid later, illnesses like dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that. When you're constantly keeping your mind sharp, you have less likelihood of that stuff. And then the next thing is like your emotions. Where are your emotions? And during these high energy times of solstice, new moon, you may have a lot of emotions coming up, and they're coming up and they're showing you something. They're showing you like, oh, okay, this is what's inside of me. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I need to look at and maybe heal within myself. Because when you're too emotional or you're not emotional, there's an imbalance there. And really, the purpose of us to come to this life is we want to feel, we want to experience something. It's like we came here to challenge ourselves because we knew that this is a hard planet to come onto, and there would be a lot of emotions. It's very different than other places. It's all about emotions on this planet, on Mother Earth. And so that's part of it too, is like, where are my emotions with these moons? Because the moon will bring out emotions. And it's spiritually. Are you feeling good with your spiritual practice? Good with your spiritual, connection to nature, connection to family, connection to all life. And that spiritual connection is really important when you want to understand why you're, here, your destiny, your life purpose, like your gifts, your talents, your abilities. Why did you come here? That's really what it's about, is what is your service? What do you offer? The what is the thing that is meant to grow within yourself? And that has a lot to do with your spiritual health, your spiritual well-being, and, finding that purpose and mission that keeps you going. And then there's also like your, like we said, your physical health. How's your physical health? Are you constantly tired, drained? What's tiring and what's draining you? Are you making time for yourself and self-love and self-care? All this stuff is really important at this time of year because we're hitting a note. I kind of put everything like with music, because I'm a musician too. And so when I think about like a song, what's your song? What's your chord? What's your melody? Is it like dun 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 dun? Or is it more like, an aria? Or is it a sonata? Is it like more hip hop, rap, country? What's the theme of your life? And how can you align yourself to that theme? The more I put in effort, the worse I feel. Ain't that the truth? Sometimes when you're pushing or you're starting to like hit a wall, you'll feel that way. You'll feel like, sometimes you need to take a break from all the pushing and because I think there's like that fine line between pushing through something and like forcing it. And then, like we have this mindset here that we got to make it happen. And sometimes you have to wait for the alignments to happen so that you can make it happen. And that's why I kind of like when you study human design. I don't know if anybody knows their human design chart, but I think human design that's a little different than astrology is that with human design, it tells you what type of person you are. Are you a manifester? Are you a generator? Are you a projector? Are you a manifesting generator? It kind of tells you what your operation is, even if you don't have to know all the rest of the stuff. But if you know the way that you attract things into your life, it really helps. It really helps you understand why it is that, sometimes you have to be more reflecting, or you have to wait for opportunities, or if you're a manifester, you're the typical part that, can go and do it and get it done. Yeah, like a generator is like, the nice thing about generators is that you're constantly receiving energy. So that would make a lot of sense for you, Lola, why it's difficult for you to like, get this stuff done, because that's more manifesting energy. Generators work really well when something's already started and established, and then you keep it going. And that's the thing about generators. And most people are generators. So you're always constantly generating energy, which is pretty cool. I wish I had that. And then, a generator too, I think that's part of it too, is like your aura is more open. It's like open. And so you can attract a lot of opportunities because it's open, right? It's so difficult to understand the concepts. So I don't think you have to know all the concepts. I wouldn't start that there. Because the thing about human design is, I think 25 years ago, some lady offered me a free reading in human design when nobody knew what the heck human design was. And that's why she was doing free readings. And she was in Malibu. And she was talking all these concepts. And I didn't know astrology enough. I didn't know the I Ching enough. I didn't know these other concepts enough to fully really understand it. And I think the only thing I really walked away with was the manifesting thing, because I'm a manifester. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And now it's become more prevalent, more available. There's more information on it. And, I feel like it takes knowing a little bit about the basics of those systems that they're talking about. You have to know a little bit about chakras, I Ching, astrology. So when you start understanding all those little things and just the basics, you don't have to go real deep into it, then human design makes a lot more sense. But when you have like little understandings on those other things, human design is probably not what I would recommend people start with. I think people can start with something real simple, like what type am I? And then your profile. And then from there, you can take it in little pieces. Is there a test for human design? Hi, Lindsay. Yeah, you go to, what's that place called? If you look up human design free chart, you'll be taken to the site. So you just look into human design free chart, and there's a place, I can't think of the name right now, but the man who started it is named Ra. And his story of how he started human design and just everything that came through him is a mystical experience. He had a mystical experience and brought this information in. And it's a combination of ancient systems kind of all put together as one. So it's a very modern system. It's not exactly, ancient, but it's ancient. It's got ancient concepts, but it's all put together. But it's a complete system. And that's what I really appreciate about it, is that it's a complete and full system of understanding self. And I think anything you can do to understand yourself is part of understanding your destiny, your life purpose, your mission, what your song in this lifetime is, and also what is and what isn't possible. So when you understand your type, you understand, okay, maybe, yeah, this is why it's not possible for me to really be a business owner or this or that, because my thing is more like when something started, I can jump in and keep it going. Like for me, my type is not really good at the day in, day out, 9 to 5. And I struggled with that for many, many years until I started to really get to know myself and understanding, these different concepts. And I think that's what is really key when we're talking about this stuff, because it's amazing. It's really amazing. Sorry, I just want to make sure that okay. So, okay, let me go back to your comments. Yeah, projectors have to wait for the invite. Generator. Wow, it's so cool to see everybody kind of knows a little bit more about you guys already know your human design. So beautiful how life has handed me all the tools for this moment now. Yeah, I'm a manifester. Yeah. You're welcome, Lindsay. Can you hear me on YouTube? Because I'm not sure. If you can't hear me on YouTube, let me know. But I guess if you can't hear me, then somebody will say something. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like when you know your type, like, if you have to wait for the invitation and if you were trying to go and like make it happen and nothing's happening and you keep getting the door slammed in your face and you didn't know that you're somebody who's supposed to, sit back and wait for the invitation. Okay, good. They can hear me. Then, your life is like, you're constantly moving against the grain of your life. You're constantly like, this ain't working out. You're frustrated all the time. And that's the thing, is that when you know yourself and why you're here, then, and how you move and operate in the world, then you just can flow a little easier and you can know that, and you can, have patience and understanding with yourself. And, this solstice coming up is the perfect time to really connect with yourself. Go out into nature, spend some time in the sun if you can, or bring an umbrella if you can't handle the sun. But if you can get some sun and sit there, and if you have some food or water and you want to do a little offering, you can ask the spirit world to open the new door. Do a little ritual, do a ceremony for yourself, and really sit down and say, okay, that first chapter of 2023 is behind me now. And I'm going to walk forward in the sun of who I am, and ask the spirit world, help me to become and embody the real me, the real truth of who I am. Because like what I was talking about in my newsletter this week is that your mind and heart, they have to be in alignment for you to truly know what it is your next step is. Because when your mind is like, oh, I got to get a job and I have to make this amount of money and I have to do, your heart is already like, oh, you know what I mean? Or your heart is like, ooh, I don't know if I could do that again. I don't know if I want to do that. I think I might want to go in a whole nother direction. But your mind, because now your mind is in control, will say, oh, we can't do that new direction because it's not paying enough. It's not this. It's that there's no health benefits. There's no, your mind will spiral. And a lot of what we're asked to do in this next chapter is about life-changing decisions, life-altering decisions, the decisions that once we make them, the trajectory of our life completely changes. And that's why I started the live with saying, a lot of people will move, a lot of people get married, divorced, they're going to have these life-changing moments because it's preparing us for a new cycle. Also, what might happen is you just get that battle between the mind and the heart, and you have to let your heart win. If you want true peace and happiness, if you don't care about peace and happiness, then go with your mind all day long. But if you really want truth and peace and happiness, and to fully embody the reason why you came here, you have to follow the heart, because that's where the wisdom is. That's where the GPS is. That's where the knowing is. That's where the intuition is. It's in the heart space. But what happens is the heart can get all covered up because the mind is stronger than the heart. And what the elders always say is that the mind and the heart, sometimes there's thousands of miles between these two things. Your mind will be over here and your heart will be over there. And the whole purpose of being balanced and in harmony is to bring those two hemispheres together of mind and heart, so that when you're walking in this world, you're walking with your purpose, or what my ancestors called walking in beauty. You're walking in the beauty of who you are, of who you came from, why you're here, what you're meant to do, and now your purpose just shines. And then when you have your purpose and your service and you know who you are, you become a grand gift to the society that you live in. You become a jewel to that whole society, to that whole culture, to that whole country, that whole whatever. You become that shiny object, that shiny place. And that's through your working on self. And that in the ancient times, that was the highest gift you could give to anybody, was the knowing of who you are and why you came here, and then to offer it to the culture, to the society, to the tribe. You offer it givingly. And then vice versa, other people are doing that. And so now you have a whole society of contributors. They're all contributing to the wholeness of the society. But over time, what has happened is we have become more individual, right? We're more individual than collective. But I feel like in this next couple generations, we go back to togetherness. And unfortunately, now at this point, what would bring people together is disaster. Like things really falling apart so that we remember why we're here. Because no matter what your life purpose is, no matter what your destiny is, no matter how talented and great and skilled and all that stuff, it doesn't matter if you have nobody to share it with. It just really doesn't matter. Because if you have nobody to share your life with, your gift with, your purpose, your destiny, it's what's the point? You have nobody. Nobody. I'm kind of Dosha. Hi, Dosha. Oh, Dosha from Twin Buttes, North Dakota. Hello. You. Let's see here. You're okay, good. You're a manifester, Lindsay. Yeah. The thing with the manifestors is the manifestors, I think, are 10% of the population, and they're like the ones that create stuff. But in my experience, manifestors, we have a more closed aura versus a generator who has a really big open aura. And manifestors like to have their alone time and need to be in kind of a cocoon kind of stage, because you're constantly creating. You're creating, and you need that alone time to create. But if you're a manifester and you want to have like a successful business or something, you need to find a generator who can help you, because the generator will keep it going. I guess the manifesting generator is really like that perfect sweet spot for entrepreneurs. That's what I always said. I was like, man, the manifestor generator has both. They have the ability to manifest it and then keep it going. But if you're just a straight manifester, you're always going to need to have people around you to do that. And then, there's the reflectors and the projectors and all that stuff. So with this solstice and this new moon, it's really a great opportunity to say, now is my new beginning. So I recommended you go out into nature, you do a little offering of, some water, some food, whatever you have, and you leave it to the spirit world. You say, okay, spirit, can you help me right now to, embody the next step? And I talked about embodying versus channeling in a couple lives ago. And you can see the replays on YouTube. But the basics is that when you're really wanting to now step into the truth of who you are, you want to practice embodiment. Embodiment versus channeling. Because channeling is like bringing stuff into you, right? It's just like it's coming in and through you. But embodying is being, like becoming it. Like with Green Tara, she's embodied the goddess. And that's the ancient way, is not channeling, because channeling comes and goes. Embodiment is the fullness of who you came to be, which is divine. That's what the whole teaching is about, is that you are divinity in motion. You are a divine being. And because of your divineness, you shine. And you shine for all to see, for the whole world. And that takes more time and effort and practice, because channeling, it comes and goes. So you could be a terrible person and still bring in spirits. You could, and who knows what you're bringing in. But in the ancient way, in embodiment, you can't be a terrible person and embody the divine. You have to, work on those sides of yourself, those shadow aspects, the triggers, the things that make you, rough. We always talk about polishing. You clear the roughness, and then you become a polished jade or a polished turquoise. That was really the highest two stones in ancient culture, was jade and turquoise. And at the end of your initiations, at the end of your training, you were given a jade, a very polished, beautiful jade, or a very polished turquoise, depending on what path you're on, depending on what your mission and purpose and destiny is. Because after you finished your training, after you finished on, becoming, you were given that polished jade, that polished turquoise as a representation of how you had polished yourself. That's the thing, you had polished yourself. How do the human design categories work with one another? Yeah, that's that's a whole nother thing. There's a lot of books on human design. First, you have to understand those basic categories, and then the profiles, and then the open and closed centers, and then all that stuff. Once you understand the foundations of it, then you can work on synastry, which is how do people work together? And that's a whole nother thing. Yeah. How do any of us work together? It's a human mystery. It's divinity. It's divine. But that's the ancient way. And so with this solstice, you can begin that doorway. And it's a potent time because, like I said, we are heading into a new fire. And what that means is that everything from the old ways is going to transform. It's going to shift and change the way we do business, education, healthcare, finance. Every sector that rules our life, that governs our life, that we have all got to deal with, all them, we got to deal with this, taxes, this, that, the other. All that stuff is changing. All of that is changing. And we don't really have a whole lot of control over some of those changes. People are going to, fight tooth and nail, but honestly, the changes are going to happen. And in our teachings, we say that the changes are not coming from us as humans, it's coming from the earth. That's where these changes are originating from, is that Mother Earth herself is changing. And because she's changing, we too have to change. And everything in our life is going to change. And especially now, in this next couple of years, there's going to be a lot of change. And we'll see the full breadth of those changes within the next 52 years, especially now. So what I say about people who are coming into the earth now, like those of us who are a certain age, like 40 and over, and then those who are just coming in right now, we are team transition. We're team transition. Yeah, we're team transition. And we've been here before. Most everybody, I'm going to say everybody who's watching right now, has been here. We've been here in these times of significant change. That's why we're team transition. And specifically Atlantis. Changes are needed, and I sense a positive future if we all work to create it. Yes. I feel it's really the divine feminine. And that's what our calendar says. It's the feminine coming back with her ancient magic. Constant upgrades. Yes. So far, I know I'm a reflector. Reflectors, read up on that, because reflectors and projectors have very special and unique gifts and abilities. Ooh, that's why I feel like I don't have any control. Yeah, you don't have any control. Yeah, control is an illusion. You're 38. You're almost there. No, I'm just kidding. You know why, May? That makes a lot of sense why you're quitting your job and you're going through all these big changes. Is because you're about to hit your third trisena in 40. So 39 especially. Are you almost 39? Because 39 is when it really starts. Like you have, it's good you're catching this live, because I'm going to tell you, when you're 39 to 40, that's like a shedding of your skin. And so it's a very powerful year if you know how to use it right. It can be very powerful or very chaotic, but I'm going to tell you, when you're 39, do a fast. do a very big fast, like, around your birthday in January. Oh, that's perfect. You got a lot of time to prepare. Do a mindful fast and ask Creator to shed everything from the previous cycle, because 40 will be powerful that way. We call it, what they call it is celibacy, but in the ancient way, celibacy was about restraining everything. It was about like cleaning out your body, your mind, your everything. It wasn't about like just the sexual part. It was about everything. Like when people would go celibate, they would go to the mountains, so take some time and go away from everything and just focus on making that the best change of your life, like shedding everything. And then 40 will be no problem. Oh, hi, Nicole. Welcome. You're right on time. You're welcome, May. I just turned 40 a week and a half ago. Oh, you still have time, Amanda. Do the fast. Do the fast. You're so excited, April. Do you believe we are moving into the age of Aquarius? Yeah, that's what the New Age calls it, right? We all have different words for it. In the Tonopoali, we call it the sixth sun. You're moving into the sixth sun. That's the old fire, new fire thing I was talking about. You're watching Jimmy the comedian. That sounds like funny. Yes, happy birthday, Amanda. You're right on time, Amanda. 40, you can still do it. Do a nice fast, do a cleanse, do a ritual, and just say, okay, now I'm ready to embody the next stage. That's a powerful year. That would be a dream come true for me. The age of Aquarius, sorry, I missed it. But yeah, the age of Aquarius is what the astrologers call the time we're living in. I don't know. I've heard all kinds of different astrologers talk about we're entering it now, we're this, we're that, we're, who knows. But we're at team transition. That's what I call us. Team transition. Aquarius sun. Yeah. But those of you who resonate with this, you are team transition. And that's a big part of why you're here, especially the people who are born like 1965-ish to maybe 2000. Is that early millennial? That generation, that new life before technology, are what we call bridges. Moving into the mountains. That's awesome. Team transition. April, yeah, I think you would love the mountain. We're team transition. Should I fast for my 56th on 20? Yeah, you could do a nice 3-day fast for 56. Your next big one will be like in your early 60s. 52 was the big one that you just passed. So you're just kind of really embodying 52. And so when you turn 52, that's a huge birthday, like huge birthday. And in the ancient calendar system, when you turn 52, it means you're an elder and you're a teacher, and now you're a master of something. You've been working on yourself. Now you're able to teach it because you've been embodying it for so long. So you now are a teacher. And so 52 was like, it was a really big birthday. And I find it pretty true now too, especially 50 is when people feel it. Turning 30 this summer, Saturn return, you just got out of that 29 year. 29 is like maybe possibly one of the hardest years. 29 and 60. You just turned 35. Oh, you're good. You got some time. We got all the different ages here. But, 1965-ish to 2000-ish, I think, is the bridgers. So if you fall in that category, you're here to bridge, especially if you grew up in that generation where you could go outside after school and you couldn't wait, and you didn't have the phones and the this and the that and the you were more, remember how for me, my parents would always say, oh, just come back before, the lights are on, or, before the sun goes down. 48. You're 48. Oh, you're almost there, April. You got some time to prepare for 52. And so that's why they said we're the bridges, because we remember life before technology. I'm about to be 33. 33 is an amazing year. I think out of all the years, what I have noticed is 33 is what they call that Jesus year. There's something supernatural and spiritual about that, about why Jesus was 33. Because 33 is a really powerful number. It just powerfully, energetically wise, and also like on your path, on your life purpose. Like you're just past that 28 to 32-ish. 28 to 32 are real, real grown-up stuff. Real grown-up stuff is happening around that time in your life. So 28 to 32 is like when you're really kind of establishing yourself and what your life is. Like what is going to be the pattern or song or challenge of my life is established in those years. And then once you get to 33, it's like the birds are singing, everything's opening. It's like, hallelujah. Something about that year. 33 was transformational for me. My husband died in a car accident. Oh my goodness. See, that's that something opens. And I'm sorry to hear that about your husband. That's catastrophic. That's a catastrophic. And that's how this world works. It's like the veils are lifting, and then others is like life changing. You'll never forget 33. And those 33 is that kind of year. And I don't want to scare anybody who's about to head into 33. But, those kind of late 20s, early 30s are really about why, what's going to be the lessons and blessings in your life. I sure hope so. I'm at there. Oh, you're right there, Lola. You're right there, 32. Single for a long time. That is my pet term. Pattern. Oh, your pattern. Yeah, that's a rug pulled out from under you. And that's the thing about life. That's the thing about life, is you just never know what's going to happen. You can think you have it all together one day, and the next day. That's why this is one of the hardest planets to live on. And that's what a lot of our ancient teachings talk about. In my indigenous culture, we talk about this planet, this life was a gift you earned. It's so sacred and so precious and so short. It's like winning a lottery to have your life. And just think about that. Think about if you woke up every day and you were like, I won the lottery. Because you did. You actually won the lottery to be here. That's pretty powerful when you think about that. That's why every morning, the traditional way of prayer is you take your cornmeal, or you take your tobacco, or you take your cedar, or whatever you pray with, and you give thanks to the sun as it's rising, because you understand that you won the lottery to be here. Like, it's very hard to be incarnated as a human being. It's not an easy thing. You have to be 7 things before you can become a human being. So you have to be a blade of grass 7 times. You have to be a cockroach 7 times. You have to be an ant 7 times. You have to be a tree 7 times. You have to be all those things 7 times to even have one lifetime as a human. And that's, in the spirit world, like such a grand opportunity, because the thing about human is you have human intelligence that you're supposed to use as a great responsibility for all life on this planet. And that's what the original instructions talk about, is that we are given this life because we have earned the responsibility to take care of this life, and not just for ourselves, but for the next 7 generations. So the ancients understood that to be a human was to carry a great responsibility, not only for ourselves, but for all life on this planet, and for the next 7 generations. And so I know there's a lot of like skulls, you know how people always carry the skulls around and they have ceremonial skulls and they have the, what's that guy's name? Max skull and the real ancient skulls from the ancient Mayans, and they're in private collections all over the world. Well, the whole meaning behind those skulls is that we have in human intelligence. Like when you have a skull, like if you go buy a crystal skull and stuff, it's not about the artifact and the skull. It's about the representation of that skull, that we have human intelligence. And because we have human intelligence, we are a very advanced being. And that's what the reminder of that skull is. And that's why you're supposed to work with that skull and be in ceremony with that skull and remind yourself constantly of your great responsibility, not only to yourself, but to the world, to others. And that's what all of the indigenous practices are. It's about how do I make myself a polished stone for everybody, to be the protector of the trees, the clouds, the air, the fire, the water, the creepy crawlies, the rock, people, the everything that is on this life, is that we have a sacred responsibility for that life, and to keep that life as it is in the most pristine, beautiful condition for the next 7 generations. The water, the air, the fire, every element that we work with. And when we're out of balance, like we are right now, we're going to see catastrophic stuff happen because we're out of balance. It's just like the fire is out of balance in Canada right now. And it has been, every year the fire season just gets bigger and bigger because we're out of balance. We're not honoring our sacred responsibility. We're not honoring those original instructions, and we have to return to that basic understanding of our human intelligence. And that's why I believe those skulls are coming back now. I lived in Sedona, and those skulls, I had one of those skulls living like a few blocks away from me, and I didn't know. And when my friends was like, well, you have that skull, it's right next to you, And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, because my area is pretty powerful. But when I started to really understand the skulls, and I sat with my Mayan teacher, and she explained to me what that skull was, and we did ceremony with that skull, and we activated skulls, and we did all the skull work. Now, when I see a skull, it's a whole nother meaning, because I understand it's not about the crystal skull. It's about the whole teaching behind the skull and why these skulls are coming back. And they're traveling the world. They're traveling the world, these skulls, to connect people back to their ancient mind, to their original mind, to the reason why. And that's why I said everybody who's coming back into this time space and really awakening, as they call it, it's because you're part of the team transition. And the team transition are the souls who have been here through the biggest, changes on planet Earth, and know how to navigate through these changes. And then they bring back ancient wisdom and ancient teachings and ancient healings and ancient, jewels, so that we can continue life. So no matter how out of balance we get, Mother Nature, she balances herself. And part of her balancing herself is bringing you here. That's the balance. She's like, okay, now we need an ancient soul. Okay, we're going to get all these Gen Xers and millennials and all those people together. We're going to get y'all together, and we're going to put you on this thing called TikTok and YouTube and whatever. I wonder if there's any near where I live. You can look it up. Look it up. You're welcome. Yeah, look it up. What you want to look up is I don't know what you want to look up. Ancient skulls. Crystal skulls. Go down the crystal skull. Look up ancient crystal skulls. And so what my teacher told me about the skulls, because she is Mayan, And she went down to, I think it was Panama or Honduras, one of those two. And she was talking to the elders down there, and they were talking about how they had recently discovered this kind of herbal mixture that was found in the cave. So what happened with the skulls is there were, I believe, something like 52 original skulls. Everybody talks about the 13 skulls, but the way she taught me is that there were something like 52 original skulls. And these skulls were made out of crystals and rocks and different things. Some of them are really, really huge. I mean, these are huge skulls. And the most fascinating thing about these skulls is that they have no carving marks. Like, there's no understanding of how these people made these skulls. Because we always think, oh, these are primitive people from, whatever. But they were more advanced with tools and carvings than we are. And when you look at these skulls, there's no carving marks. There's no way they made these with tools. And so what she said, the elders had recently discovered, and by recently, I mean the last 20 years, is there was some kind of mixture of herbs that they found in these caves where they believe these skulls were, because unfortunately, when colonization happened, the skulls were raided and they were took all over the world, and like they're hidden. Like the Museum of England has one of those skulls somewhere deep in its archives, but it never shows the skull. So you can't even go see it if you wanted to. It's hidden. And a lot of these skulls are in these private collections of very wealthy elites. And so what they believe is that these skulls were crafted using this herbal mixture. So imagine that it's some kind of acid or something that they use to carve these skulls. And these skulls were believed to have like supernatural, kind of abilities. And the biggest ability is telepathy. And they say that these skulls talk to each other and that they absorbed ancient wisdom from ceremony, because the skulls like to sit in ceremony. Like if you have a crystal skull you bought at a store or wherever, you could go into ceremony. You could go into ceremonies and you could activate that skull to have ancient wisdom and ancient knowledge, and then it would speak to you telepathically. And that's how you're supposed to use the crystal skulls. You have to activate them through ceremony first, and then they like become a life force. And I remember I used to have this wellness center, and this crystal guy that I used to buy my crystals from, he came in, he's like, Songbird, you have to have these skulls. I was like, I don't really want skulls, okay? I want the pretty stuff. I don't want the skulls. And the guy's like, no, I feel like you're going to work with these skulls. They're going to be life-changing, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I got these skulls and I put them for sale, right? And the first, it was like a teenager. I think he was like 17. He was almost like, fully adult, but he was like 17, I think. And he came with his mom to my meditation class. And the first thing he saw was the little fluorite skull. And he's like, hey, that's so neat. And he wanted that skull so bad. And his mom had the same reaction like I did, like, what? No, that's ugly. Like, why you want the skull? Whatever, blah, 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 blah. And so she picked up the skull and she's like, okay, whatever. He wants the skull. So she bought the skull for him. And then the next thing, we go into meditation. And the skull started like talking to him in the meditation. And he had never had anything like that happen. And he was, oh my God, my skull has a name and this, that, and the other. And it was showing me like all this ancient stuff. He was getting all this ancient information. And he would have these really vivid and, amazing meditations thereafter with the skulls. And that was my first inclination that when you work with the skull, it's different. It's a different something about it is different. And so in the meditation, he was activating it. And then from there on, I had a lot of different experiences with those skulls. And then it was when I moved to Sedona and I had the opportunity to sit with the ancient skulls. Then I started to understand that more. And then I met my Mayan elder and she explained it. And she's like, oh, you're a skull carrier. And I was like, what does that even mean? And then you go down the whole rabbit. Do you have gatherings or meetups for ceremonies? Yes, I do. I do. Right now, I'm in Colorado, but I'm going to be going to Sedona next month, and I'm going to announce some stuff. And I do go back and forth, and I think I'm going to start more online stuff again. I've been kind of taking a break in the winter from in-person gatherings, but they will start again. And I'm also going to have some Zoom stuff coming up soon. But yes, I do. And I also have private sessions. So I think they said that because they were high on something. They probably were. That's the thing, is that ancient societies, no matter where you go in the world, we all have traditional medicines that connect you to the spirit world. It's like, I've thought a lot about it. The plant medicine, you have to have plant medicine because it alters your mind. I don't know, for anybody who's ever sat with any kind of plant medicine, whether it's ayahuasca, peyote, whatever. There comes a moment in the ceremony when the medicine is first coming through you, where the veil breaks. And that's the moment you're about to enter into a spiritual dimension. And that's what is needed in order to have a spiritual experience. You have to have something break the veil. And some people can get there through meditation or breathing. That's part of a practice we do, is a lot of breathing, dancing. That's why they call that ecstatic dancing. There's a lot of different ways besides plant medicine that you can get into those states of consciousness. But the fastest and most effective and life-altering way is through plant medicine, through the right ways, the right channels, the right ceremonies, the right guides, people who actually know what they're doing. That's why plant medicine is coming back strong right now. I mean, she's coming back strong because a lot of people need that breaker. They need that break of reality, and they need a hardcore one. Like ayahuasca, she's a hardcore one. Because there's always that time in the ceremony where everything starts getting wonky, that you're like, oh, what have I got myself into? What have I got into that? I want to do peyote medicine. Oh, you've done Aya? Yeah, it opens your consciousness and enhances your senses. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And the thing about like ayahuasca is that that one, she calls you. She calls you. And then she calls you and she leaves you. So, okay, I'm done with you. And peyote and all that too. But there are gentle plant medicines. Like I would say, I don't know, like Wachuma. I don't know if anybody sat with Wachuma, or what they call San Pedro. Is a very gentle medicine. But other ones like grandmother, like ayahuasca, she's not gentle. She's like, she's a saucy mistress. She's a saucy grandmother. But, or even like mushrooms, those are coming back full force. Maria Sabina, she was a medicine woman who worked with the mushrooms. But she said that what I always thought was interesting about the way she said it was that the modern way of using the mushrooms is all wrong. Because, she worked with the mushrooms to heal and cure sickness. It was only for physical sickness. But now people use the mushrooms for like consciousness, like states of consciousness, to understand who they are, why they're here, their life purpose, this, that, and the other. But she always said that was the wrong way to do it. She said it's not for that. It's for removing sickness and illness. So I think it's interesting how the plant medicine can also change according to who and what it needs, what you need from that medicine. And that's the beautiful thing about herbs and these fungi, is that the plant evolves. Yeah, it evolves. Like Lola was saying, it's evolving. It evolves with you. It changes and it grows. And that's the most fascinating thing about plants and herbs, is that they have a consciousness. And that, the beautiful thing I always thought about ayahuasca is that plant, she gives her whole life so that we may have a glimpse of our own life, a glimpse. That's all she gives you, is just a very tiny glimpse of who you are and what it is that you came here for. And she gives her whole life so that you may see that. And that's pretty fascinating. And that's why we would always say it's a gift when you sit with these medicines, and it means that you deserve it. You've done something so right in your life that this plant has come for you. Yeah, that's really good, Alta. You don't mind learning, but I'm not trying unless it's by a professional or someone very experienced. Yes, that is 100% right. And that's why I said it comes to you. You don't go looking for it. It comes straight to your door. It comes literally straight to your door. It'll come to you. And it's something that if you're meant to experience it, you'll experience it. But yeah, it's not something you go looking for. Because I always find the people who go looking for that stuff might go in the wrong directions of where that is. Because especially now in this day and age where, I heard people doing it in their living room by themselves. I'm like, no, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. And you have to have somebody who has, worked with that medicine, has trained with that medicine, knows that medicine, knows how to brew it, knows how to work with it. It's not something to be played with. Yes, Aya is. She is. But she's powerful. And the thing about it too is if people are mishandling it, or the brew wasn't brewed right, or something's funky and not in alignment, your experience will be like cheapened. It won't be the full ceremony. It won't be the full experience that it could be, or that it should be, or that, it has to be. It's not worth it. But I know there's a lot of good practitioners out there. I know there's a lot of good medicine people, and those are the ones that are not easily found. Those are not the ones advertising on Facebook usually. Because everything's underground. So for this new moon, for this next chapter, it's really about now taking some time and thinking about what it is you want to hit the mark with this next half of the year, from June to December. What is it now that you're going to aim for? What part of your life really is out of balance? And what is your medicine or remedy to get you back into balance? And from there, this is the best time to get clear with your vision. Tech bro shamans. The teacher arrives when the student is ready. That is 100% accurate. Next flick had a documentary with Gwyneth Paltrow about, oh gosh. I don't know. I hope it was a good one. I think there was like what is DMT, the spirit molecule or something like that. That's more like scientific, I know. But the thing is, like especially with the plant like my ayahuasca, is you can't read about it on the internet. It's just impossible. If you start reading stuff on the internet about other people's experience, and it's nothing like it. There's no word ever to explain what you're going to experience, because everybody's different, and what she shows you is going to be unique to you and your path, and what your healing is, and what it is you need to know and understand. And with grandmother ayahuasca, she comes through the back door, not the front door. She'll go through the back door of your mind, because she will bypass your ego to get straight to your heart. That's what she will do. She will bypass your ego to get straight to your heart. And that's why she's an incredible tool. Reading about something and experiencing it are so different. Yes. You went to a retreat. Oh, they went to a retreat in South America. I like the hashtags personal. That frustrated me so much in the beginning. Yes. She goes through the back door. I remember I was sitting in a ceremony and this girl, she goes, that's Peaky, sorry. Peaky. She just knocked over my keyboard. She said she was in the ceremony and she was dancing and feeling good, and she was feeling that joy. And then all of a sudden grandmother told her, are you ready to get to work? That was going through the back door of her mind, because her ego was like, oh, this is fun, I'm having a great time. And then that spirit said, you ready to get to work? And then the rest of the night was work. It was going through some hard things that she was avoiding in her life and getting clarity and getting cleaned out. Peaky did a demonstration. Yeah, she did. Ego, thank you for protecting me, but please, I'm ready to heal and grow now. Beautiful. Yeah, Peaky. But it's true. Like, when you're sitting with anything, not just plant medicine, but when you're really doing spiritual practices and spiritual work, you have to get through the ego to get to the heart. And that's what we were talking about earlier in the live, is you have to break the mind. And that's what those plant medicines do, breathing exercises do, meditation, whatever it is that you do, it has to break your mind. And that's why a lot of people go crazy. And that's why you need a trained and experienced person to go through these intense experiences with, so that they can lead you through it safely. In the Toltec teachings, it always says you have to have a guide who's been through the process so that you understand it and they can help you. Otherwise, when you start going into these areas of the subconscious mind, or what we call the Skatalipoka, you don't know what's in there. You don't know what's in there. You can encounter almost anything from any time. And if you have the right guide, they can say, oh, okay, I see where you are. I know where you are. This is how you get to where you want to go. Whereas if you have the wrong guide, you just stay in this chaos and craziness and wherever your mind goes, and that's the problem. But I think that if you're listening to your intuition and you're listening to your life, you will find the right people. You will find the right guides. You will find the right practices. You will be led home to who it is. Because when you know yourself and you listen to yourself and you're tuned into your intuition, you will only go in the right directions for you. And if your ego and your mind wants to go in the wrong direction, your intuition will say, yeah, something's not right. Something's just not right. And if you follow that, you'll never be led astray. It's when you want fast, easy, cheap, that's when the problems start. Because there's no fast, easy, cheap anywhere. Nothing in this world is fast, easy, cheap. Oh, hi, Virginia. So happy you are here tonight. Oh, so happy you're coming in. Yes, she came to you. She came to you, April. Yeah, she does that. The only thing is some will use it to manipulate or hurt you. Yeah, that's the problem, the tricksters. And that's what we always have to be mindful of in anything and everything. And I think the thing with that is really speaking your truth. When something is not right, speak up. Speak up. Say something. Don't let all that stuff fester. And it's unfortunate. Like I said, I live in Sedona. I know. Well, I've seen everything under the sun. And what's funny about Sedona is there's a lot of cult energy. There's a lot of people who come in with these cults. And what I always loved about Sedona, and I still love about her, is that that community and that energy there, they don't allow it. They don't allow it. I've seen so many cults get the boot. And it's funny how fast it happens too. It's like they try to establish in the city, and the city just like spits them out. And it's a very interesting process to watch, because I already know about like 4 cults right now that have gotten the boot. It's something about like, no, don't come into this town. As wacky and crazy and new agey as this town can get, we don't want you here. They don't belong. Yeah, they don't belong, but they want to belong. They want to force themselves. And that energy, that vortex is so ferocious. She can really tear people apart. She will bring you in and throw you out too. And I've seen it so many times. And that's how we have to be with that kind of energy, is just throw it out. Don't get involved in it. Yeah, cults are extreme religious. Because true spirituality is really an individual process. And that's why I always like the teachings of the East, because in the Eastern teachings, it's like there is no right way and there's no wrong way. It's just an individual choice. It's like there are billions of ways to experience creation and creator, and you just find the right one for you. You find the right one that will resonate with you, that will bring you the most spiritual growth and evolution, and you just allow yourself to go down that path. And culturally, there was no stigma. There's no like, you have to be this way. It's, oh, okay, you're doing that. Oh, cool. Well, I'm doing this. And they're different. And there's a billion ways to get there, but we're all getting there. You want to go take a dirt bath there? Well, come on down. There's plenty of dirt. It's just an experience. Yes. You allow yourself to be your true self. Yes. And I think that's, kind of what Sedona is, like a little mini that is, you can choose whatever direction you want. But when it becomes harmful for people, she'll kick you out. She's just, get out of here. I have some stories. One day I'll tell you all my cult stories in Sedona, but not tonight. I can tell you some stories about those things that I've seen out there. I love all parts of Arizona. Yeah, Arizona is magical. It's like I always thought like parts of Mars landed, because I feel like it looks like something like Mars would. But Arizona is incredible. It's magical. The whole Southwest is, this is where my home is. I love the Southwest. This is where my ancestors have been for thousands of years. And there's something just so, I don't know what the word I really want to say is, but there's just something so deep in the Southwest. It's just something that is different than anywhere else in the world I've been. The thing is, all is done by and through God, the creator. Exactly. Maybe someday we'll meet and over a campfire, you can share your experiences with me. Yes, I would love to have you come to a fire ceremony, because that's where I do a lot of my teachings. I love to sit by the fire and go through the whole thing. When I fly over it, it looked like spaceships landed. Exactly. Never been, but as long as I've been alive, I wanted to go. Oh, you'll have to come one day, Karen. Oh, you'll love it. Soon I'm going to start my retreats and stuff. Home in the Southwest. Yes. I don't know if anybody, it's just different. And it's probably like that. Like if you, for me, lived in the desert most of your life, and then you go to like Hawaii or something, it's like, whoa, this is totally different. It's just like that. I've lived in the Midwest my whole life, but have always dreamed of deserts. Yeah. Deserts are harsh. Desert will kick you. She will prick you with them thorns. And no, there's a reason why every spiritual tradition talks about the desert as a place you go for tests, initiations, and to enlighten. The desert is a place your soul is tested, and you have to be super strong to live there. Arizona is so neat. You have to pay attention to every detail. She will show you a lot. Yes. I don't know. One thing I will say about Sedona is that she chooses you. Every time, I'll give you an example. I was in a Whole Foods, I think, like at at the cafe kind of part. And I was with a friend, and this lady comes up to us, a tourist, and she's like, "Oh my God, I love Sedona. This is, my first visit." And she was just beaming, like talking about Sedona, Sedona, Sedona. And then she's asking us, "Do you live here?" And we're like, "Yeah, we live here." And we're just listening to her. And she's like, "I'm going to live here. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to live here." And she just kept talking about how she's going to live there. And then she finally left. And me and my friend were like, "No, she's not going to live here." Oh. All right, guys. Well, unfortunately, my voice just left. Oh, huh. And that happens when I'm meant to now shut up. It's a weird thing that happens. It's like the spirits, they take my voice and they're like, "Okay, you're done." So I have to go now. But thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back next Monday. Happy solstice. And I wish you all the best until we meet again. Many blessings.